You're so unlovable because you're disabled. I can't believe that you were able to get somebody, and I, a non-disabled person who is clearly more valuable than you, can't get somebody. About 6 weeks ago, I was at the nail salon getting my nails done. They desperately need to be done right now, do not judge. And the girl doing my nails is so sweet, and she's done my nails many times. I've been going to the same salon since I moved to this neighborhood and moved in with my boyfriend like a year and a half, almost 2 years ago. And they know me. My boyfriend always drops me off. Sometimes I bring Elton, sometimes I bring my cane. I get a manicure, I get a pedicure. Usually my boyfriend will come inside with me, help me pick a color out, and then he'll leave and come back and grab me when I'm done. Very much appreciated. I don't want to spend the money on Ubers. And it's very helpful. And the last time I was there, he comes to pick me up and he's a little early. We're just finishing still. And she goes, "Who is he?" And I was like, "Oh, that's my boyfriend." And she was like, "Your boyfriend?" And I was like, "Yes, my boyfriend." And then she turns to the nail tech next to her. She goes, "That's her boyfriend." And she was like, "Oh," and they're like, start chatting. And she goes on with some of the classics, "I'm so lucky," to which I agreed, because I think I am very lucky because I have a wonderful partner, and everybody who has a wonderful partner, regardless of being disabled or not, is lucky. And this is something I get frequently. The assumption that my boyfriend is either just a friend or even a paid or volunteer caregiver / helper who supports me as a blind person. I want to get into all of the different kind of micro ableisms, comments, just like what it's like being in an interabled relationship as a blind woman, because I absolutely know many of you are going to resonate with this. I'm so curious to hear your different experiences, whether you're in an interabled relationship or whether you're in a relationship where you're both disabled. I'm definitely curious to hear how different aspects will also change this. I'm obviously coming at this from the perspective of somebody who is a white woman in a cis relationship. So my disability is the only factor, but I'm curious to hear everybody else's different perspectives and experiences with this. And also feel free to, check me. If you're you're off, I'm curious to hear it. Because I did make a short form video last month, and I talked about this exact situation that happened at my hair salon. I was getting a haircut. My partner dropped me off, and then we had a really, really busy day. So he was gonna take Elton to go run at the park, throw the ball around, while I was getting my haircut done. And so he drops him off, he grabs Gallop, whoa. He grabs Elton, takes him to the car, Gallop, and brings him to the park, and I'm sitting there, we're chit-chatting. I mentioned in our conversation, "Oh, my boyfriend." I mentioned that my boyfriend and I live together really nearby and blah, blah, blah. She very much knew I had a boyfriend. And then she goes, "Oh, do you need to text your friend to come pick you up?" And I was like, "Oh no, my boyfriend will be here as soon as he's done at the park." And so I made a video mentioning that as the example instead of the nail salon example. But I have so many examples where people call my partner my friend. And in my opinion, in so many ways, it's clear that he is my partner. We are often holding hands. The way that we interact with each other is not that of which I would interact with my friend. No, we are not huge on PDA. We don't kiss and stuff a ton in public, but generally, I think it's very clear the way we interact, even just the way that he touches me when he's helping me. If he's guiding me, he will put his hand on my lower back. That is not something I would want one of my friends to do, especially a male friend. That for me feels very romantic and partner-y. So the ways in which we interact, I just feel are very clear that we're partners. So I talked about this, and I did receive a number of comments that mentioned how, as customer service workers, they've put their foot in their mouth too many times, making the assumption that people are romantic partners and been wrong. So now they default to friend until they know otherwise. And I do understand that, and I appreciated that perspective, because I definitely carry a fair amount of baggage from years of having comments made to me and assumptions made to me in relation to my disability and dating that yes, my brain does automatically say that's the reason they're saying these comments. Because I started dating for the first time when I was 14 years old and had just gone blind. I am now 32. I have been in many relationships, unfortunately a few situationships. I've casually dated, and I have heard it all. I have heard it all. And so I do carry some of my own, like, you know, internal feelings when I hear these comments. So I do accept that sometimes people might be saying that because of that reason. They don't want to assume. But I can't help but feel that there are equally times when they are making the assumption purely because I am disabled and he is not. And it's frustrating because I feel like as a disabled woman, I get the same handful of comments that I've gotten forever. And I'm just like so over them because people, when it comes to disability, really be saying stuff that is so out of pocket, that is so ableist and discriminatory and like such a microaggression, and they don't even clock it. Like they say it with their whole chest. They say it with such confidence in a way that's like, there's nothing wrong with what I'm saying. And in reality, like the fact that disabled people are so desexualized, are so deromanticized. Like we are looked at as like these infantilized beings. And I think that a lot of us end up swinging to this extreme of trying to counteract that. For example, in my day-to-day life, I admittedly swear a lot. And that is like a little subtle way that I show people, like, I'm not this like innocent baby angel that you're putting me in this box. Or when I was in high school, your girl partied real hard. I went hard on the weekends, okay? And that was my way of showing my peers, again, I am more like you than you are giving me. I'm so like you, I'll be the extreme version of you. I'll go so far beyond what you would even do that you can't help but see me as an equal, because we are so often looked down upon, infantilized, like we are these innocent creatures. We are othered and not integrated into society to the point where people can't even see that I, a disabled woman, would be in a relationship with a non-disabled person, which leads me to the next comment I get a lot. When I talk about, oh, my boyfriend, if people don't know him, haven't met him, the question is always, is he also blind? And out of all the relationships I've been in, I've only ever been in one relationship where my partner was also blind. But it is always assumed that my partner is likely also blind. And it feels like in that assumption, it's that, well, a non-blind person, a non-disabled person wouldn't want to date a disabled person. Or you'd have nothing in common with somebody who isn't also blind, which is so absurd because it roots all of your humanity into being able to see or not see. But also, it again like reaffirms that you're not valuable, you're not desirable. You get these comments, and I don't just see them on my videos, I see them on so many Interabled couples videos, like Cole and Charisma and Squirmy and Grubs, and it's a comment I've even gotten to my face, which is, and I can't even get a boyfriend. And I can't even get a girlfriend. Which again is as if to say, like, you're so unlovable because you're disabled. I can't believe that you were able to get somebody, and I, a non-disabled person who is clearly more valuable than you, can't get somebody. That's how that comes across. Like, that is essentially what you are signaling in those words. And it's really strange to me to think like that the way you're valuing a partner is that they could walk, that they could see, that they could hear, that they have all four limbs. Like the fact that that's what you're valuing is so bizarre to me, and it like makes me think of Matthew from Tinder years ago who said he couldn't date me because I'm blind and therefore can't surf. Like, people have such bizarre expectations of what their partner is and does, because I know that I add a lot of value to my relationships, my friendships, my family, my working relationships, my romantic partnerships. I am confident that I do have value that I bring to the table. You know, when it comes to like my romantic partnership, we split the bills 50-50, we split the household chores. Like, I do contribute in traditional ways that partners would contribute, but if I was unable to physically contribute, there are still so many ways that disabled people can and do contribute to relationships with compassion and empathy and humor and wisdom and intelligence. There's so many other things that we can provide that a partner who could financially provide, cook, clean, do all those things might lack. And I think if I was not disabled and I was picking between a blind partner who had all of those qualities that I was looking for, or a sighted partner who sucked as a human, I think I would want to pick the blind person who had all of these other boxes that they're checking. And it's weird that these people making these comments don't seem to understand that, well, yes, you have sight or the ability to walk or whatever it is that you're making this comment about that is in this interabled relationship you're seeing. You are obviously lacking some other things that people value in romantic partnerships more than seeing. Crazy concept. Which makes me think of another comment I have often received in partnerships, including in my current one, which is, to me, that "you're so lucky" comment. And to my partners, they often get like praised for being such a good guy. I will never freaking forget the first time I saw that comment. And it was way back on Ask FM, that attachment that you could attach to Facebook. I'm so aging myself. It was in 2009, where people could like write anonymous comments. And my first ever boyfriend and I, who was like the first love of mine, we had dated for about 9 months when we were 15 and we broke up. And he was a hot commodity. He was very sought after by the ladies. And I saw on his Ask FM that somebody made the comment, "I heard that your ex-girlfriend was blind. You're such a good guy for dating her." That was like a stab to the heart. Like, that hurt me so much because I knew that that did not play a role in our relationship. He didn't think twice about my blindness. But the fact that that was constantly how I knew the rest of society, or a lot of society, was looking at us, and that had carried through with so many of my relationships where I overhear comments or even directly hear them about my partner being so great for dating me. And those two things often go hand in hand. And it's this like, you're so great for dating somebody because, subtext here, there's something so massively wrong with them that most people wouldn't be able to overlook. And then, I'm so lucky. Again, yes, I acknowledge I am. And there's nothing wrong in that comment if my partner was often also hearing that. But the problem is, I'm always the one hearing it. It's not equally spread between us, other than when I talk about it on social media and my comment section of my supporters says it. But like in day-to-day society of people who don't know me and don't know him, the go-to is that I'm the lucky one, that he's willing to be my partner, that he's willing to support me. Whereas I look at relationships, and yes, I'm so grateful that I have a loving, kind, compassionate, caring partner who is happy to help me in the ways that I need. But that to me is a partnership. That is the whole root of partnership, is that you're both contributing and you're both giving in ways the other may lack. And in our relationship, sure, sometimes those things look different, because sometimes the things that I do need him to help me with are directly related to my blindness, that if he was dating a sighted woman, she wouldn't necessarily need supports in those specific ways. But that doesn't mean if his partner was non-disabled that A, she would always be, or B, that she wouldn't also still need supports in ways that I maybe don't need support. And it removes, again, what I can contribute and what I do contribute as a partner in this relationship. That there's no luck on his end to have me. It is a one-sided partnership. The reality is, love isn't charity. Nobody is dating anybody for months, let alone years, out of the goodness of their heart. They're doing it because they do value that person. And there's kind of this idea that disabled people have to settle. Like, we're just lucky that anybody will take us, and so we should stay with that person. And this is so deeply damaging and harmful, because it's what can and does keep disabled people in abusive relationships, in unhealthy partnerships. And the reality is, whether we like to admit it, acknowledge it, or not, many of us with disabilities are more vulnerable, because one of our senses or abilities that can keep us safe and in control is impaired in some capacity. And so it is that much more important that you have a partner that does not take advantage of that vulnerability, that does not assert control or dominance, when we are constantly being fed from the youngest age of 14 when we first start dating that we're so lucky to have somebody, that they're such a good person for dating us. Wow, is that your friend? I can't believe it. It's your romantic partner? I would have assumed it was your helper. Asking questions like, what do you do? How do you contribute in the relationship? All of those questions carry so much more weight as a disabled person. We had the funniest conversation on our flight to Australia with the flight attendant who, it was comical. Like, there's been a handful of times when my boyfriend sees in real life these conversations that I've spent my entire life having, and he just, like, every couple of months will have one where he's like, whoa, that was so wild. Like, that's one of those interactions you tell me about, and then I just got to see it, and it's even crazier when you're seeing it face to face. But this was one of those where he hit, like, all the bangers. It was first the assumption that it's not my partner, then it was that I'm so lucky to have him, then it was assuming that he is taking me on his business trip. Funny thing, he was coming with me on my business trip. It was the, I hope you get your sight back. I hope there's a cure because you're so beautiful. Okay, don't know what my beauty has to do with getting a cure. Bizarre. And then it was, do you know this random blind person who plays basketball in my hometown? No. Like, it was so funny. He just truly, all the greatest hits. And the worst part is he said that his mom was blind his whole life. And I was like, damn, you really grew up with a blind mom and still think so little of blind people and are still so filled with these tropes. And, you know, all I can say is he's from a different time. He's an older gentleman, like probably in his 50s, 60s, but still. It's still like so confronting when you hear these words coming out of people's mouths with so much sincerity. And what's so awful about it is it's like the ableism is so normalized and so okay, and disabled people have been so dehumanized and othered for so long that they don't hear it. They don't think they're saying anything wrong. We're hearing it and being like gobsmacked, and they're saying it with so much sincerity and like are walking away from that conversation not even thinking twice about a single thing. So much of this ignorance ultimately comes down to the same thing that I constantly go back to, which is the lack of media representation of interabled relationships or even of just disabled romance, period. And I really ask you, if you are not disabled and you're watching this video, to just examine your beliefs on disability, dating, romance, desirability, and realize that there's a lot of subtext in the words that you say. When we hear it over and over again, we read between the lines, probably even more than you realize is there. Choose your words carefully, folks. And yeah, again, very curious to hear everybody else weigh in. What kind of comments do you receive about your dating and relationship experiences? And is there any other disability and dating or interabled relationship kind of content that you'd be interested in hearing me talk about in 2026? This is my first video of the year. Exciting. Thank you for being here, and until next time, you can click over here for another Molly Rambles video about why I and my partner do not want to have kids. Or you can click over here to watch another video I recently posted. Bye!